Well, welcome, you guys. I'm so glad you're here. And I just want to start off by celebrating you for making some time for yourself. I think the hardest part about any part of a healing journey, whether you are getting back into exercise or you are trying to eat healthier or you're trying to incorporate a mindfulness practice, the hardest part is showing up. Showing up, carving out this time, making this time for yourself. That's step one, step one to feeling good. So I hope that you're feeling really proud of yourself for carving out this time for yourself tonight, because I know that's not easy. For most of you know, but not everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Daniela. Hi, nice to meet you. And I started out my career as a high school English teacher. And I saw about 150 students on a daily basis, troubleshooting like probably more than 150 problems on a daily basis. And it was a lot of stress. So I'm really on this mission to help what I call recovering perfectionists, people who are of the mind, like I am sometimes, of if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself, right? Or, like just the all or nothing mindset that kind of comes in the health space where unless I can go all in and give it my whole attention and all of my focus, then it's not worth doing at all. That tends to be like a perfectionist tendency. So I really am on this mission to help recovering perfectionists redefine their relationship with stress because of my experience with stress. Because at the end of the school day, I would come home to my husband and other people that I love and had like no patience left for him and anyone else. And so all that frustration kind of came out on him, and it would be like, why didn't you unload the dishwasher? And it's like, was I really mad about the dishwasher? Yeah, kind of, but was I that mad about the dishwasher? No. So the point is that stress impacts our relationships. For me, it also manifested in like kind of these binge restrict cycles where all during the work week, I'd be like, okay, I can only eat 1,400 calories. Not healthy, by the way. And then on the weekend, I would just binge like whatever was in sight. Which is another way that stress manifests itself, right? In our relationship with food. So this is how it manifested for me. You may have it be experiencing stress in other ways, but tonight, what you're going to get a little taste of is what I do in my group coaching program, Room to Breathe, where we carve out some space to try out a variety of different practices and dig into some of the why behind, which we're going to do less of today. But when we get into the why behind of the practices, it makes it a little easier to show up for ourselves because we know the inner workings and we know why it is going to work and when we can start to expect to see some of those results. So you'll kind of experience some of that group coaching program on a small scale. But otherwise, I just want you to be present today. That's the main mission. And just experience how it feels to show up in your body today, what is happening in the mind as we go through some of these exercises, knowing that it is all good. Even if you have negative thoughts that keep chirping in your mind today, we're just going to accept it. And that's probably the hardest part of a mindfulness practice, is accepting what shows up. Because contrary to what people think, mindfulness and meditation aren't really about getting rid of all of the thoughts in our mind or getting rid of negative thoughts. It's just about noticing what our mind is doing when it is thinking, and then coming back to our anchor, as we'll experience in just a second here. So I just want to kind of just share some of the context of where you might see some of these practices showing up from a holistic perspective. So I'm a certified wellness coach through the International Association of Wellness Professionals. And one of the things I do when I work with clients one-on-one is really take into consideration the domino effect of each one of these holistic health markers that you see on the screen here. Because a lot of times people will come to me and be like, I have like a binge eating problem, where they're like, yeah, food is my issue. But really, that's almost always tied up in something else. Like maybe it's more about your mindset, when it comes to food, that mental relationship or emotional relationship that we have with food. So it's all interconnected. And every practice that we try out today is really going to hit on this internal holistic health marker of mindset, which is really what mindfulness is all about. When we're paying attention to our thoughts, we're really more aware of our mindset. But we'll also be addressing things like mental and emotional rest when we do some of our breathing exercises, which then again has that domino effect where you might start to feel some tension in the body release. So, again, it's just all interconnected. Some of our practices will even help with strengthening relationships, whether they're personal relationships or people at work. And you could even go so far to say as it could strengthen our spiritual relationships as well. So get excited, buckle up. It's going to be a good one. But I thought we would kick things off today by tapping into your energy and how you are feeling right here, right now. So if it feels comfortable to you, you can go ahead and close those eyes. But if you're feeling sleepy, fix your gaze at some place off the screen because sometimes looking at a screen can trigger a stress response. And that's, the opposite of what we want out of today. So go ahead and fix your gaze at something that isn't moving if keeping your eyes open is what you want to go for today. Otherwise, you can close those eyes. And just kind of check in with your body. How is it feeling today? How are you feeling energetically, emotionally? And whatever comes to mind first, we're going to roll with that. And if you're like, I don't know how I feel today, that's okay too. Now that we've taken a moment to connect with ourselves, which we very well may not have done all day, or maybe no one asked you how you felt today. Good, I'm glad you're here. But now we're going to start to connect with our breath. And for this particular breathing practice, I'm going to guide you through some counting. So we're going to inhale for a count of 4 in just a minute. And as we do, I really want you to focus on expanding the rib cage. So kind of breathing outward. So we're really inflating the lungs, as well as sending that breath deep into the belly so that you feel the expansion of your belly on the inhalation, and then almost like that belly deflates on the exhalation. But backing it up, we're going to inhale for a count of 4. Then we're going to hold our breath for a count of 4, those lungs nice and full of air. And then we're going to exhale for a count of 6. And why we're doing this is because when our exhalations are slightly longer than our inhalations, we are sending the signal to the body that it is safe. What's happening here is we're allowing our vagus nerve, which is like the information superhighway between the brain and the body, to neurocept safety. So that's some of the why behind why we're breathing outward longer than inward. All right, let's give this a go. So go ahead and inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath, 2, 3, 4. And then open mouth, sigh out the mouth. 4, 5, 6. Let's try again. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once more, inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keeping those eyes closed, continue to breathe at your own pace. A couple more breaths like this. And really do not feel shy about really forcing that air out the body as you exhale, that open mouth sigh, because that really helps to release any tension that we might be subconsciously storing within the body. So I'll get quiet for a second, take a few more breaths on your own. Try this out. And then keeping those eyes closed, check in once more. How are you feeling now? It's okay if you don't feel any different. And if you do feel incrementally better, that's great too. But remember, the goal is just having this awareness. We're accepting whatever shows up. That's the whole point. Not to change or to fix, just to notice. And when you're ready, you can blink those eyes open. All right. So I hope that kind of gets us into a positive headspace. But if we are still kind of lingering with some negativity from the day, again, totally okay. We accept what is because what we resist persists. And the more we try to distract ourselves from how we're feeling or downplay how we're feeling, the more that feeling is going to continue to rise to the surface. So, bearing that in mind today, you can see on the screen, these are some of the practices that we're going to be trying out together today. And what I want to really reiterate, if this wasn't super clear, is that these are just tools for your mindfulness toolbox. You might love some of them and they might stick with you forever. You may not like any of them, and that's okay too. The whole point of a mindfulness practice is to keep trying out different techniques to find the ones that really resonate with you and then continuing to practice the ones that really resonate. So any one of these practices, if you did one of them on a daily basis, would be a really strong start to a mindfulness practice. So the fact that we're doing all of these today is really kind of like overachiever mode. And I'm like reluctant to even say that, especially like as a recovering perfectionist myself, because then it's really easy to want to be like, oh, I got to do them all. And if I don't do them all, then I'm not doing it enough. And that's not true. So anyone who's ever worked with me in the past one-on-one, or if you've taken the mindful redesign course with me, you know that I am a huge believer in the smaller, the better. The tinier we can make a practice, the easier it's going to be for us to show up, even on the most hectic of days. So if you're new to a mindfulness practice, I recommend just starting with 1 minute a day, because that 1 minute a day after a year, like this time next year, you will have practiced for over 5 hours. That's 5 additional hours of self-awareness that you didn't have previously. So never underestimate the power of small little movements like this, these little actions, right? So today, all about experimentation. That's what we're here for. But I want to throw this out here before we start with any more practices, that listening to your body is the most important thing. So like on a very basic scale, I guess, if you need to go to the bathroom, feel free. Get up, go to the bathroom, do what you got to do. I'm not judging. That's why we're recording this, so you can come back and watch anything that you might have missed or want to check out again. But also, You know your body and your mind best. You are the authority on your mind body system. So, if it ever feels like too much during any of these practices, where you're starting to feel like really overwhelmed, or you're having like a really adverse reaction, like sweating or dizziness or anything like that, know that it is okay to take a step back. If you need to remove yourself from the meeting, or you just want to like remove yourself for a moment and come back whenever you're feeling capable. Same goes for anyone watching on the replay. Pause, come back when you are feeling empowered to do so. Because when we have these experiences, we're going too much too fast, and that could trigger trauma, a trauma response in our body. And that's the opposite of what we want to do here today.